Confused about how to plan for your retirement? Shawn Maloney is here to help. Shawn has created the Retire Happy framework that considers more than just how much you should save. Getting information and tools to preserve your financial future is minutes away. Welcome to the Priority of Retirement with your host, Shawn Maloney.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Priority Retirement, where we delve into all aspects of retirement planning for a happy retirement. Today we have a very special guest, Ben. You know what? I don't know how to say your last name. Should have asked this beforehand.
Yeah, Tuscai.
Tuscai, is that right?
Tuscai. Yep, you got it.
All right, we're gonna restart this here, guys.
When you started doing it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be he's confident in going into my last name here.
I know. I meant to ask you that beforehand. I was like, oh crap. All right, let's restart this one. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Priority Retirement, where we delve into all aspects of retirement planning for a happy retirement. Today we have a special guest, Ben Tuscai, Vice President in Financial Planning and Wealth Advisory at Sunpointe Investments. With a wealth of experience in guiding family office and wealth management clients, Ben is dedicated to crafting financial plans that truly reflect the personal values and goals of those he works with. His beliefs that personal finance is just that, personal, dives his approach to getting to know each individual involved in planning, ensuring it's tailored to their unique needs. Ben, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love that statement in your bio about personal, right? I love that. We live by that as well. Get to know who you're talking to. Absolutely love that. We'll dive into that for sure. Hey, but before we dive in, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about Sunpointe and what you guys focus on?
Yeah. So, about me, my wife, we have 2 kids, 5 and 3. So we're busy. We have 2 dogs. Before joining Sunpointe 18 months ago, I spent about 8 years at Vanguard. Most of that was on the wholesaling side of the house. The first 2 years, I was actually selling the advice offer for Vanguard.
Gotcha.
So I actually really enjoyed the job. The volume was intense. You're taking 40, 50, 60 calls a day.
Right.
That's not for the long haul for most people. So, I did feel the value in a lot of those conversations. Somebody's calling in maybe to change their password, and you say, whoa, you have 100% of your investments in a healthcare ETF. Or you have 100% of your investments in cash.
Right.
Help me understand more of that investment strategy there. And I always found that just 1 or 2 probing questions got us into such a unique conversation where, regardless if they made a decision after that call or not, I just felt like they left that conversation a little bit more informed about their financial life. So I did derive a lot of value from that role, but it was really the amount of calls that you take in a day that gets you bogged down. So I knew that some point in my further career, I was 25 years old back then, but
right.
I knew that I was going to, maybe make it to a role like this and be able to help clients more one-on-one than I was before. So that's the journey to get to Sunpointe. Right now I sit in, it's my dream. It was my dream job. It is my dream job which is cool to say, like, wow, I got to this spot in my career at such a young age that I have a split role. So I'm the director of planning for Sunpointe. So I help all advisors develop plans, critically think about decision-making. A lot of it's analysis work of taxes, insurance. I don't do a ton with other advisors on the investment side because that's primarily where they're helping out and they're bringing me in for more of the planning work. But then I help manage a book of business with my partner, Matt. And the funny story there is Matt actually was a client of mine when I was at Vanguard. He was my first phone call as a wholesaler. And here we are 6 years later, teamed up at Sunpointe. But the firm primarily, we started as family office. We work with a whole host of different clients and specialize in financial planning, investment management, and reporting, I'd say, is our 3, specialties.
Gotcha. Hey, well, That's a great. I'm glad it's good because you have a good background. Then you kind of know the other side of the house, as well as the front of the house, which gives you a good experience. I love that. So in talking about the personal side of things, from your perspective, how do you ensure that each financial plan is really tailored to unique personalities? Right. I know we go through a series of questions with prospects, and you always want to get to know that person. But I love hearing from other advisors as far as how you guys make that a unique experience and tailor it to your clients.
So yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting question because you want to develop processes
Yeah.
around these things to be able to replicate what we're doing with each client on a personal level. But what I've found is just like it's this is an area where it's really hard to create a process
Yeah.
because everybody's just so different that I found like, okay, this line of questioning starts to pull out like this is somebody like really not sleep well knowing that their mortgage is not paid off, regardless of what the interest rate is. They don't really care.
Yeah.
Just the fact that they have debt weighs them down. So like, okay, these are a good line of questions. And then I go to use it a week later and I find myself like getting stalled out between it's
Right.
I'm like, okay, I got to flip some of these questions. And so what I found is to just let the conversation naturally progress.
Sure.
Just go into it with, I try to have like one or two, three questions to get us going. And then just kind of see where the conversation goes and be able to pull at different aspects of the conversation. Maybe it is around, when they bring up, hey, I'm really worried that I'm going to maybe have to take care of my dad some days, his financial situation. And you're like, okay, we need to really pause and focus on this because there's a lot of emotions that we need to unpack. Like we got to go past these numbers. So I found that it's not a great answer, but you just have to let each one of these conversations develop, on their
100%.
own. And it's somewhat of a challenge, but it's somewhat of like hey, you just have to let it happen.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's actually a good answer, right? Because, everybody's plan is different. Well, I should say everybody's plan is built off of sound foundational principles, but every plan is personal, right? And everybody has different circumstances, unique circumstances. And I tell people, whether they're doing business with us or not, whoever they're doing business with, if your person you're sitting across the table from, if that advisor is talking more than you are in the first session, that's not a good sign.
Right. You're spot on. And now we have so many tools today where technology can tell you that stuff. And when we're sitting in meetings, and if the meeting's being recorded, it could be like, hey, Ben, you just spoke for 65% of that meeting. Like maybe let's not do that next time. And nothing's worse than from you and I's end is like, oh my gosh, what did I just do?
Right.
But yeah, that's a really good rule to live by is like the talk time.
Yeah. I mean, especially for the first meeting, right? I mean, to really put together good plans, as you got to get to know the people and figure them out and let them talk. What makes them tick, right?
No, it's exactly right. And the personality there, because you've I'm sure you've had this before where like you have somebody that's just maybe more introverted and is unsure about this, taking this step to starting and working with a financial professional. Maybe they have their own belief system and sharing that information for the first time is really uncomfortable.
Sure,
I think many times you leave those conversations with that discomfort feeling of, wow, I can't believe I just told this stranger that I just met everything except for my social security number. Like this is kind of weird that they know everything about my life. And that is a hurdle in itself. So it's
well, I mean, it's very personal and there's a lot of people, like you said, there's a lot of people that are scared or skeptical about giving out their information. But the way, it's funny, I had a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine say, well, I want you to help me, but it wouldn't be weird because you're my friend to help me out with the financial side. I said, not at all. I said, first of all, it's always confidential and it's totally separate. I said, but think of it this way. I try to be friends with all the clients, right? If I wasn't your friend when you came into the office, if you become a client, we're going to be your friend at some point because we're going to get to know you.
Right. And that's the plan. I do always feel added pressure though when we're friends first,
Yeah,
and then
sure.
you become a client. Like those meetings, and it's funny because they're so laid back. Like those people know you personally, have they known you for decades? Like
Right.
they're more relaxed. You're more stressed in
Right.
those
Yeah,
meetings.
exactly.
So it's actually, I think to a certain degree, it's maybe a little bit harder.
No, I agree with that statement. Yeah, for sure. So what, you talked about your background, the Vanguard Group, moving to Sunpointe. What was your motivating factor to make that shift?
The the big component there was I know I want to be actually delivering this advice. I want to make sure that I'm getting the feel that I got from the retail sales division at Vanguard, but with clients that I could develop long-lasting relationships with.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the CFP material. And that's I think when I really started. My wife started calling me a nerd at that point when I was like spending my free time like reading about tax planning. She was like, you could be doing anything right now. Like, what are you doing? So
That sounds so
that
familiar.
yeah. See, you live it too. It's it's one of those things where that's when I was like, wow, I think I'm getting better at this. I find myself doing it in my free time.
Yeah.
And I think that I have a lot to offer value to
Yeah.
clients, and I'm getting something out of this. I'm like, it's making me feel, a positive emotion after this stuff. So
Yeah.
that was, I knew that probably, I don't know, 4 years into Vanguard that was the route. It
Yeah.
was just, okay, I'm not going to leave here without my CFP, and I have to find the right team. It has to be the right culture. And that part was hard. There's a lot of great teams out there, but
Yeah.
it was right around the COVID timeframe when it was like, okay, now my daughter was 10 months old. What type of risk could I really take on at
Yeah.
that point when I got a daycare bill to worry about? Like
Right.
so like it's not like we had no kids and I could, roll the dice a little bit.
Right.
So that actually kind of stalled things a little bit. But when I had met Matt, we had started to develop a personal relationship outside of, Vanguard. He was at Merrill Lynch at the time. And he had actually recommended I look at a leadership role, which the firm was actually really excited that I was looking into. The next job, if I didn't, would have been more travel, probably about 30% travel. And I had kids, and it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
No.
COVID hit, and all of a sudden the priorities really shifted for us
Oh yeah.
and really shifted for me, where it was, wow, look at all this time that I get to spend with my family. I don't want to give that up.
Right.
And so that was part of the allure too to Sunpointe, is like I get to work remotely because the firm's based out of St. Louis. I'm just outside of Philadelphia. Okay, so I'm going to get to work remote. I'll
Yeah.
get to go see people in person, and I have more control of my day, and I get to do the thing that I love. And really, Sunpointe had the culture, which was planning focused, unique client relationships, and all of the investment expertise that I knew that we were going to need to deliver something unique to clients,
Right.
which is a differentiator. Like I knew coming here, this is the dream job role with this incredible company that wound up being, I think, a perfect match for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So you have some background in public administration. How did that influence? How does that influence your approach to wealth management?
Yes, I think actually the biggest thing that I got out of that program at Westchester was it's probably helps me the most on like analyzing people and their data sets. There was a lot of data work that I did in the public administration program. So, when you're having to create Excel documents, or you're having to review a policy statement. So somebody sends you an insurance policy. Sure, you could know every company, this, every company has a different statement that they're going to send you.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, where is this information that I need? And what are all these riders that
Right.
every company, because they have to have their own terminology.
Right.
So I think that's actually where it comes in the most handy, the time that I spent there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably the estate planning and the insurance is where I get most of the benefit.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. Makes sense. So you guys talk about, I know on your website, you guys, and you mentioned it, on your bios and whatnot, the family office client. So two things to this two-part question. What are some of the challenges, you face when advising um, family office clients, to define what you guys mean as family office clients?
So yeah, family office, I'll take these in reverse. So family office is typically a family that has employed some amount of individuals. I don't usually around like 1 to 3 for the single family office, like thought process here,
Yeah.
and to help them manage their affairs. And usually managing their affairs is, hey, we have maybe multiple properties, multiple businesses. Like we have a lot of stuff and we got to organize it. Like you need somebody to sit at the helm there to help you organize it. So there's a lot of different definitions, I would say, out there on what a family office is. And I think everybody maybe internally uses something different, but you have multi-family offices, you have single family offices. We primarily work in the single family office space. But what makes them unique is there's so many layers to a family office. And it's because there's typically such a large amount of money or assets at play, it just creates multiple layers of complexity.
Yeah.
Like we have to be very pinpointed as far as the strategy goes, because okay, if Gen 1 built all of this wealth and they're in their 70s, maybe, or in their 80s, and Gen 2 is going to inherit some money, Gen 3 is going to inherit some money, we need to make sure that, a lot of the Gen 1, they're worried about the silver spoon mentality. They don't want, a bunch of trust fund kids that aren't going to go contribute to society. Well, we feel like we have a role here to play in that relationship. How do we go provide education at the right time for some of those families? And that's a really important role that I think we fill. Jack Dwyer on our team, the president of Sunpointe, Phil does a lot of those education plans. And he's out there meeting with Gen 2 and Gen 3 to help bridge some of those gaps. Those are just inherent challenges because all of those relationships, albeit all under one household, are totally different. And there's, if Gen 1 has 2 kids and they're married and they have 8 kids total, it's like you're working with like 7, 8, 9 different households under one. There's so many complexities that come into play that make
Many
it
different
challenging.
personalities and the way they think, mindsets and the way they think. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody was raised differently. Everybody grew up
Yeah.
in a different time and had different finances. And
Yeah.
what do you tell the kids versus what do you not tell the kids? Working with the attorneys and the CPAs, the insurance brokers, like how do we bring all of these people into one room to have this conversation? And it's really important, and it's challenging, but I think that's a lot of fun. Family offices are a lot of fun to work with.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, it's kind of funny. We talk about that, the different dynamics of different generations and even then down into the personality level. But, I really see the financial space, financial landscape, the financial plan has really evolved, over the last several years. I mean, of course, COVID had a change and with a lot of things being digital, doing things like we're doing remote here, that kind of stuff. But even the mindset of, the whole retirement planning, financial planning landscape has changed somewhat. You have technology that's impacted, several aspects of this. The whole remote things, the DIYers, all those kind of things. And then also we talk a lot about, back in the day, today's retirement planning and financial plan is not like our grandparents and parents. They used to just rely on Social Security and pensions.
Right.
Well, pensions aren't there anymore. Only about 7% of companies even offer a pension, right? And so it's more back on us. And so now more people are getting involved. Planning has involved. There's so much information out there, for people to digest. So with all that in mind, how do you see y'all's role and our role in general, as wealth advisors has changed and changing in today's landscape?
I think the big change is like we're just expected to do more. Like
Yeah.
where do you draw the line today for saying like that's like outside of scope for this relationship? And
Right.
we use a line internally of like we're not like the butler, we're not the white glove service. Like we don't market ourselves as like we're probably more the garden glove service where it's like, hey,
I like
we're like
that.
we're going to get the hands dirty. We're going to help you put the seeds in the ground and grow. And we're comfortable, when a client calls and says to us, hey, what do you know about student loan forgiveness? I've been working at this nonprofit, or my wife's been working at this nonprofit, or my husband's at this nonprofit. And you're like, ooh, I didn't know I was going to have to know about that. So I have to do research. And that's part of that garden glove mentality of, hey, we're going to have to be flexible for clients, and we're going to have to start to branch ourselves out, and we're going to need to network and build more relationships. And that's part of that networking component where it's who could we lean on in these scenarios to help us out. But I think to answer your question, we're asked to do more, and we're always trying to figure out different layers of value that we could be bringing to clients' lives. And I think it's a blessing and a curse, because there's times where you're like, I have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
Or next thing you know, I'm going to be walking your dog, and that's just not good for anybody. But
that's a whole different revenue stream.
I'm going to be on Rover walking dogs and doing financial plans. It's not going to be good for anybody. But
right.
I think and technology has changed a lot of it, because I just, 18 months ago when I joined Sunpointe and we collect tax returns. That's a part of just a standard operating procedure for us to know, like, hey, truly what money did come in and what's going out, and it helps us with tax forecasting.
Yep.
But so we collect that tax return. 18 months ago, I was manually going through a 1040 and all the supporting documents to handwrite or type up notes for how we're going to do this. Well, Holista Plan solved all of this for us. Like, I can drop a PDF in. Gen AI is going to take care of a lot of the summary for me and give me some ideas, and I can play around with mapping out when should we use a pre-tax 401k. Is this a good opportunity for Roth, or we should hold on to that for next year? We can do that planning, and I think it's probably only going to progress as technology continues to progress. We're going to see ourselves continue to branch into other areas, which, leads us to, hey, we're going to have to hire more people actually to do more of this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. It gets to be an interesting blend. Like you said, I mean, technology enables a lot of different things, but it opens doors. But how many doors can you open, right? I mean,
right. Yeah, you're only one person, like, right, Shawn. Like, what do you? How many pieces of technology are you going to be able to log in? Like, I got all these username and passwords for 7 pieces of technology that I use.
Right.
Could we go to 9? Probably not.
Oh, probably.
It's not next year. That's a 2025.
That's right. Well, with that, I mean, so that there's a changing landscape, and I think that also talks to the importance of, the landscape's always changing. Of course, markets and economy, everything's always changing. That speaks to the importance of, and I want you to talk on a little bit about the importance of, financial planners continually to update knowledge and stay abreast of things. And how do you see that affecting you guys and your firm, and how do you guys go about that, keep staying up to date?
The reality is, like, you have to read. I feel like you have to read every day. Like, you have to and in order to stay in our role, you have to genuinely be curious, because there's, legislation changes every year, it feels like, and sometimes it's like every 6 months, it feels like something new is coming out. I mean, just 2024, the RMDs for inherited IRAs, like, this has been a total debacle over the past 3 years of, like, are we doing it? Are we not doing it?
Right.
Like, and then they release a document that's 250 pages long. It's like, all right, well, I don't understand how I'm going to read all this. Am I going to know what's going on? So you have to continuously be reading. And I think it's just an expectation probably inside of our firm where it's, hey, this is my role. The planning role is what the team leans on me to do.
Yeah. That
expectation's there of, like, hey, I need to stay up to date on all of these topic areas. When big changes are coming, I need to make sure that I'm updating the team. And so on our Monday morning call, I have just a quick 5-minute financial planning segment where that's when I'm trying to provide updates. You have the Corporate Transparency Act. Yep. We've been sitting in limbo for a little while. Like, how do we help our business owners get that document filed with FinCEN so they're not, paying obnoxious fees come January 1 of 2025? It's those things where we all try to stay on the same page. Yeah. But I think as a team too, we all have a responsibility to help each other out. And that's, part of the culture I was talking about before is why I love working here.
100%. Well, I like to give the opportunity for everybody, I guess, that comes on too, is if you could share one or give one piece of advice to the listeners as far as, when you're looking at financial planning, retirement planning, what's the first thing that comes to your head as the first piece of advice you would give someone that's just sitting there listening?
So, yeah, I think we start and regardless if you're a family office client, you're a private wealth client, wherever you fall on the spectrum, and really this could be for retirement or, somebody that's in their mid-30s. We start every relationship with, we call it your CCBS. It's your calendar, your cash flow, and your balance sheet. And forever, the advice industry has been so hyper-focused on your balance sheet because that's how we're paid. Yeah. So we've started, if we know what's on your balance sheet, sure, we can answer a certain amount of questions. But if you're listening to this and you're saying, all right, how do I know what's on my balance sheet, but understand how cash flow connects to my balance sheet or pulls from my balance sheet, and then how does the calendar overlay all of this? That's the really important foundational step that I think if you have that kind of mapped out, and the way we do it is what's the 1, 3, 5, 7 for your calendar? All right. Your daughter's getting her license at 16. Okay. That's in 2 years. There's a financial component to that. We're going to need insurance. To add insurance, that's probably ridiculously expensive. We're going to have to shop for that. Who's going to help us out with that? All right. Do we have the cash flow to be able to sustain that? Or what are we pulling from on the balance sheet?
Right.
We're deferring taxes in a pre-tax 401k, and now we're retired. Well, now those taxes are going to come due and we're taking distributions. Where does that fall in the cash flow component? And when are we paying these taxes, or when are we holding off? Those are the types of questions that you can answer when you have your calendar, your cash flow, and your balance sheet. And I don't think any of that is rocket science. It's really it's basic stuff that you probably already know, what's going on in your life. It's just sitting down and how do you just put it on paper in an organized way?
Yeah.
And I think you had mentioned before, DIYers. DIYers it's a huge area today where I think I'm a DIYer and I hate it. Yeah. I can't, I will hire a financial professional in the next 12 months. My wife and I have talked about it. I can do the calendar, the cash flow, balance sheet for myself. I need the accountability. Yeah, I need somebody. It's hard, and I don't know how you do it in your life, but it's hard for me to pay attention to my own stuff. I do it all day for other people and I love it, but I have these components. It would be great to have an objective third party to say check my thinking, make sure my wife is an equal part in that thinking. Those components are really important.
No, you hit on a great thing. It's two great points there is that, the cash flow and knowing when and how, and even if you don't have a budget, and have all that laid out, it in your head. It's just a matter of, like you said, document it out. So that's all obviously key into figuring out your roadmap, but the accountability side of that is huge as well, right? Like you said, even for people in the industry like us, having that third party accountability to keep because it's your money, right? It's more emotional for your own money versus, right. We always do the best thing for clients and their money, but we can help take the emotion out of it. But on the other side, so even for financial professionals, you need that accountability part. I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's you think people always think that the financial advisors, financial planners are the best in their own lives too. It's so emotional when it's a reason that I don't even manage. Sunpointe manages my money.
Right.
I invest the same way as every client. And this way because investing is so emotional. I don't even get involved in it. So it's good to have an objective third party that spends way more time thinking about your financial life than you do.
Yeah, 100%.
And putting, the right parameters and guidelines and helping you make decisions. So
100%. That's great. Well, Ben, man, I appreciate you being on today. Guys, if you're going to find out more about Sunpointe, there'll be all the information about Ben and Sunpointe will be in the show notes, in the documents down there. Ben, it's been a pleasure having you on, and I wish you all the best, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you so much, Shawn.
All right, take care.
Thanks for listening to The Priority of Retirement with Shawn Maloney. If you enjoyed the show, check out our reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more free resources to help with your retirement journey, go to retirewisepro.com or check the link in the show notes. You can also download a free copy of Shawn's book, The Priority of Retirement, or reach out to discuss working with him directly at retirewisepro.com. Thanks for listening.
Insurance products offered through the insurance business RetireWise LLC. RetireWise LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management LLC, AEWM, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by RetireWise LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the insuring carrier. This podcast intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. RetireWise LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by RetireWise LLC. Guests of the Priority of Retirement are not affiliated with, nor do they endorse Shawn Maloney or RetireWise LLC.